Hi, it's July 1st. My name's Adriano from Pesto Comics, and I want to wish you a happy Canada Day, or a happy July 4th for the Americans watching. And yeah, today we're going to get into a post-mortem for my latest campaign, Crazy Latte Thing Called Love. So before we get into that, I have a few updates. Big Smoke Pulp Volume 1 is entering the next phase. Call for entries for Volume 1 have officially closed. I've read over 200 unpublished short stories and accepted about 20% of them into this first volume. Some of them really stuck with me days after I read them. I'll be sharing a lot more about Big Smoke Pulp in future posts as it all comes together. We'll have a solid launch date in place once we've fulfilled our next campaign, From Parts Unknown. Speaking of From Parts Unknown, we've secured a colorist to work on Daniel Cavell's amazing art, JP Jordan. I knew him from his great work on Sagas of the Shield Maiden on Kickstarter. And he's recently colored the new book by Titan Comics, High on Life, based on the game by Squanch Games. I'm absolutely thrilled to have him on board after seeing what he could do with those books. He'll bring a whole new level of energy to the series. If you're interested in From Parts Unknown, we still don't have a pre-launch page up yet, but we'll have that soon, so make sure to follow us wherever you can. Then before we get started, I'd like to share one more project. It's not by Pesto Comics, but it's by our friend Roberto Villacava. You may be familiar with him as the artist of the Frankly My Dear variant on Crazy Latte Thing Called Love. And he has his own project out called Voyager 3. I've read the first two issues and they're outstanding, so I expect the same for issue 3 as we near the end of the series. Go to Kickstarter and check out Voyager 3. It's well worth your time. And now, the Crowdfunding Debrief. This postmortem is partially based on Tyler James' comics launch course. If you're serious about launching your comics on Kickstarter, I highly recommend checking it out. It's got so much more beyond the course itself. It's got twice monthly live coaching calls, and a community of great creators and crowdfunders who can help you out. That said, I'm going to break this all down into 3 parts. 1, we'll look at backers. 2, we'll look at dollar figures. And 3, we'll look at ads and referrals. If there's something more you'd like to see, let me know. Now let's get into it. This was easily the most popular Pesto Comics project by far. Day 1 brought 60 backers. More than double what Unlimited Udo brought in its first day, and a third more than what we saw in Stay Cool. By day 2, the backer count matched what we did on the other 2 campaigns combined. On day 3, we already surpassed the backer count we had for the entire campaign of Unlimited Udo. We surpassed the entire backer count of Stay Cool on day 10. That meant that a lot of the backers were actually brand new to Pesto Comics. Though the new backers alone would have made this whole campaign reach whole new heights, the returning backers come back made this a huge success. This campaign had more people following it than the 2 previous combined. Conversion rate stayed the same from campaign to campaign, but because of the much higher follower count, that led to a lot more backers. The high follower count could be attributed to the extra long pre-launch we had, and that's something we're not looking to replicate going forward. We're going to get comics to you a lot faster than we have been in the past. Something very interesting happened with the formats. Typically, it's 1/3 physical and 2/3 digital. That's been consistent from campaign to campaign. The bundle deals seem to be working, as all these new backers are getting the back catalog. These bundles tend to be bigger ticket items, so it helps with the overall funding number. There's been a lot of conversation online about backers actually shifting more to digital, but that's not the trend we're seeing here. It's definitely a tough balance, as most of the gross that you get in a Kickstarter campaign comes from physical items, while digital is pure profit, if you exclude production. It'll be interesting to see how this trend goes on future campaigns. Thanks to my American friends. As a Canadian, I'm humbled to have so many backers south of the border. It helps that services such as Salient Express actually make it cheaper to ship to the US than within Canada. So this is actually very helpful. However, the first backer was actually from the UK. He also happened to draw the Groovy variant cover and picked up a few copies for himself. So thanks to Will Robson for supporting and making that amazing cover. I really do appreciate it, and I can't wait to send you your package. Now let's talk dollars and cents. Campaign for Crazy Latte Thing Called Love was, again, the best performing we've had so far. Within 2 days, we made more than we made in either previous campaigns. Even with the odd backer dropping a pledge, we had enough new pledges coming in that we were always in positive territory. The goals on our campaigns are always artificially low. I mostly use them as a marker, as the comics are usually close to done by the time I hit launch. That means surpassing the goal by substantial amounts like we did with this one is critical to keeping all of this going. So this recording is being done on June 26th, and as of right now, late pledges are still on, so these numbers can change a bit. Normally, the campaign would be safe to review a month after funding, but ever since they've introduced late pledges, that's changed everything. We've seen a moderate success with late pledges so far. If we look at the average pledge per day, that number is actually quite skewed based on the very hot start we had in the first couple days. All that money we made doesn't necessarily come to us, as Kickstarter needs to take its cut. Kickstarter takes a 5% fee, and then Stripe takes their fee as well, so that actually knocks down our total funding. Drop backers also eat into the total. These are backers that were still there at the end of the campaign, but their cards didn't clear, and after a week, Kickstarter drops their pledge. Considering we had 18 error backers at the end of the campaign, getting that number down to 6 is definitely a positive to take from all this. It was definitely a relief to see the average pledge per backer get back on track after Stay Cool. Stay Cool was a shorter black and white book, so it made the production costs a lot cheaper, but the climb to fund it and beyond was a lot harder. Crazy Latte Thing Called Love was actually our largest book with 32 pages full color. We had more content through variant covers and back catalog, so it really helped bump up the per backer average. Even with how successful this campaign was, we're still very far from being profitable. The campaign just covered the print cost. Granted, we're not doing one-to-one for the Kickstarter. A stockpile is being built for conventions, future crowdfunding campaigns, and online sales at pestocomics.com. Maybe one day, I'll share a balance sheet for the company as a whole, but right now, we're very much in startup mode. Break even is our first target, and we're still quite a ways from that. Let's talk ads and referrals. So I'm usually asked why I opt for Kickstarter over other crowdfunding platforms, and really the answer is simple: the referral system. This is why I applaud bigger campaigns, like G.I. Joe by Skybound, as they bring a whole host of new backers into the Kickstarter ecosystem. Then, Kickstarter pushes our campaign to those backers. Most referrals do come from emails to followers and backers of previous campaigns, so building your community is still key. But with more potential backers scrolling activity feeds in the discovery page, the opportunity for growth expands. The hardest thing is getting folks outside of the system to join, though there's a whole host of avenues to do that. Surprisingly, and maybe unfortunately, Twitter is still going strong in this regard. Thankfully, the few who are still there are still happy to support indie creators. The shoutout by ComicsBeat was a huge feather in my cap. It didn't lead to a huge boost, but everything helps. Even if it only brought followers who are now in the Kickstarter system. You'll notice in the previous slide, there was one backer who brought 4% in. That almost made advertising worth it. Almost. The challenge with Kickstarter campaigns and advertising is the very short runtime. You don't have time to test ads or see what's working, and by the time you do, your campaign's probably done. Late pledges help with this a little bit, but the truth still is, unless you're really willing to spend a ton of money to get your ads out there in one big burst, it may not be worth the risk. This campaign overspent on ads, and we ended up with a negative ROI. Every time someone clicked an ad, it cost 71 cents. That's definitely not what you want to happen when you have such narrow margins. Much more fruitful was Backerkit Launch. The benefit of this tool is it brings in all of your previous backers, plus your newsletter subscribers, such as you. And even though I felt like I was talking about this incessantly to everyone I could, I still managed to have conversations where people did not know that I had a new campaign launched. So tools like Backerkit Launch, or even just advertising in general, still have their place and are very important to a successful campaign. When we're talking Kickstarter videos, the film school kid in me was really hurt seeing these retention numbers, but it had a very straightforward answer. For the first two campaigns, the video was just a trailer, a couple minutes of pure hype and excitement. For this campaign, there was still a trailer, but then it was followed by a long explainer of the whole campaign. I imagine somewhere through that explainer is where most people clicked off, which makes a lot of sense as it was almost double the length of the trailer itself. I think the strategy for next campaign is just to separate these videos. Main Kickstarter video will be the trailer, and then I'll still have an explainer in the body of the campaign for those who don't want to read or want something a little more engaging. And now let's go through a few questions reflecting on the campaign. How do you feel about the Kickstarter campaign now that it's over? I feel great about how this campaign went. It started off really, really well and just got better from there. It was good vibes right through to the end. It really was a dream campaign. What was the best part or high point of the campaign for you? There were multiple high points this campaign. Every time a big name in comics even mentioned the campaign, I was over the moon. Wow. Honestly, amazing. I was so happy. What was the worst part of the campaign? A first for this campaign was having drop pledges mid-campaign. I've never experienced that before. There were more backers this campaign than any other one before, so obviously there's more opportunity for there to be backers who would drop out. This still kind of hurt getting a backer alert in my email, expecting it to be good news, and it was actually just a notification that somebody actually changed their mind about their pledge. How are you different now that the campaign's over? I feel more eager to get the next campaign going more than ever before. I'm ready. After Stay Cool, I felt good, and I wanted to do the next one eventually. Now, I'm impatient about it. I want to get going right away. What surprised you about this campaign? The organic reach of this campaign was actually quite a shock. I didn't expect it to go as far as it did, and reach so many people outside of my circle. I had a lot of help from those previously mentioned big names sharing it on their socials and coverage like on Comics Beat and the various podcasts, but it was still a shock just to see how wide things have gotten. What's your biggest concern now that the campaign is over? My biggest worry? It's silly, but I feel like I may have set the bar a little bit too high for myself. This went very well, and yet still not profitable. So what happens if the next campaign doesn't do this well? And how deep in the hole am I going to get myself to keep this all going? It's an ongoing concern. Here's hoping it's just, the regular self-doubt that creeps in. But there's always that self-doubt. I think we're building a good community here, and hopefully things keep growing. Now, specifically about the launch, what worked really well? The homage covers. They're a real hit. It started as a silly idea to do that Army of Darkness variant with Will Robson, and really it took off from there. I kept reaching out to new artists to come up with new ideas, and they were all very popular. I think I'm going to continue doing that with every campaign, as I found even at Niagara Falls Comic Con, it would cause people to do a double take as they walked by. So I think the more I can do that and leverage what's familiar, the better it can do for the campaign. Can you do it again? Absolutely. I think I'm locked into the idea going forward. How might you do it better next time? A rethink of the stretch goal strategy is in order. I could keep getting little tchotchkes made to give to people. I think it's more important to actually put that money back into the book and either get more artists doing different covers or prints or something like that, or just increasing the quality of the book itself. Whatever I can do to actually make the core product better, I think is better in the long run than having a glut of stickers and magnets and all kinds of things made. I could be wrong. Let me know if that's the case. But that's where I feel like I might be going forward. What did backers really seem to resonate with? Aside from the variant covers, the digital backlist actually did really well. Offering a bunch of comics at a reasonable price is actually a very easy choice. Obviously, I'm happy to do this again. And I'll keep the DRM free versions available only on Kickstarter campaigns. What completely bombed? The bobblehead by Mattia didn't do as well as I had hoped. I really loved this cover. I knew it didn't fit the theme of the homage variants, but I really loved the cover and wanted Mattia to do it anyway. So, at the very least, we got a really cool sticker out of it. What will you never do again? Although I love the digest variants, I'm never doing them as a stretch goal again. They're a little too expensive to not charge for them. That said, I still like the format, and I think I'll continue with it, just not as a throw-in. What were the 3 biggest takeaways you had from the campaign? The 3 biggest takeaways I had from the campaign. 1. Be ready with everything before launch. I thought I was ready. I thought I had everything I needed. And then I quickly ran out of marketing material before the end of the campaign. I'll be a little more prepared with the next one. 2. Don't put that much money into ads. The return on investment isn't great. It's just not something that Kickstarter in particular is built for. I think if I'm going to spend money on ads, it'll be for the standing pestocomics.com store and drive people there post-campaign. I mean, they won't get the same deals that Kickstarter supporters will, but hopefully if you go to the store, you join the newsletter, you know the campaign is coming up and you get those deals going forward. But as far as advertising for a specific campaign, there just isn't the runway to do it. And number 3, keep the momentum going. The gap between Stay Cool and Crazy Latte Thing Called Love was way too long. Yes, it helped get a lot of pre-launch followers, but really the momentum wasn't there, and we probably could have done a lot better if we were just consistently launching. So that's the plan going forward. From Parts Unknown will be ready shortly after we fulfill Crazy Latte Thing Called Love. Big Smoke Pulp comes soon after that, and then Naked Kaiju Woman comes in the fall. We'll just have a constant stream of work going forward, and that's kind of what you need to do to grow. So that's where we're going to be, and hopefully you guys will join us because we'll have a lot of cool stories to share. In summary, I'm still kind of shocked with how well this campaign went. And that said, though, we still haven't reached that break-even point. So we'll continue to refine the campaigns as we go forward, and hopefully get there sooner than later. With the next couple campaigns, we're trying something new with each. With From Parts Unknown and Naked Kaiju Woman, we're jumping into doing series and serialized storytelling. And we're trying prose with Big Smoke Pulp and a couple other projects that haven't been announced yet. So we'll keep growing and hopefully get closer to that goal as time goes on. And again, hopefully you're on the ride with us. All right, and that's it for this half of the post-mortem. We'll return to it when we talk about fulfillment. So that's printing and shipping and that whole side of things. And yeah, I'll share some some insights with that whole process and how that's going. We did try something new with the free or included shipping, and we'll see how that hurt once we get the bill for shipping. So we'll have a lot to share soon, but that's it for this entry. If there's anything I missed, leave a comment, email me, reach out to me on any of the socials at Pesto Comics, and let me know. I'll make sure to include it in one of the future updates. Let's talk about what's coming next on the newsletter. July 15th, to the letter. How I letter and why it's so dang important. Plus, preparing for San Diego Comic-Con. And August 1st. We have 3 possible topics for that one, so we're either going to talk about juggling multiple projects at once, fulfilling crazy latte thing called love, or launching from parts unknown. So, still a long time between now and then, and we'll see which one comes up. So, that's it for this week. I really do appreciate it if you watch the video. I'm going to keep experimenting with this and seeing if we could do better. It actually took me quite a while to film this and get good takes. I'm getting better at talking to the camera, but as you can see, I'm still not perfect. But definitely working on it. And yeah, if you're listening to the audio, I hope it's still an enjoyable experience for you as well. I always recommend go check out the actual post on Substack because there's a lot of visuals included. I feel like this week in particular is definitely for you to go and check out the Substack because there's a whole host of graphs and charts and things for you to see that you would have missed. But if you're on the video, I really hope you enjoyed it. Please leave me a comment. Let me know if there's anything I can do better, anything you'd like to see. Yeah, and we'll just keep this going. So I really appreciate it. Forever grateful. We'll talk in a couple of weeks. See you on July 15th. Have a good one.